Welcome, men. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to share with you how the sexual reset training will support you in becoming the type of man that has their partner begging them for more. But first, let's take a look at where we are today as men. Let's take a look at the collective. Well, I can almost guarantee you that you received inadequate education when it comes to sexuality. You most likely learned about anatomy. You most likely learned about body parts that you can't even remember today and didn't serve you in any way. You most likely learned about abstinence, STIs, the dangers of pregnancy, and you most likely received no healthy mentorship. In fact, what I hear predominantly about is men that received poor mentorship, harmful mentorship, bad lessons that were passed down. And all of this is on a foundation of no open communication. If you had any communication, it was probably with your peers that were pretending that they had something figured out that they didn't. And all of this led to hiding and secrecy. If you're connected to religion or a culture of any kind, you probably learned that it was bad, wrong, dangerous, and to be mindful of it. Now, what does this silence, what does this hiding create? It creates anxiety, creates confusion. And in the last 10 years of working with men and talking about sexuality, the thing I hear the most is feeling wrong, bad, or not enough, the emotion shame. And all of this bubbles into performance anxiety, being in our heads, being frustrated in bed, thinking about, am I good enough? Are they going to enjoy this? Are they going to like this? And once again, as we're aging, we're experiencing a lack of communication. There's hardly any place to talk about sexuality. I work with the two largest men's organizations in the world, and even in those spaces, they hardly talk about sex. And how does this impact us? Unmet needs. We're not getting our needs met. We're not fulfilled. We're not satisfied, and it creates problems. And one of the biggest things that we have to face is the foundation that we're resting upon is a porn epidemic. If you're under 40, you most likely watched porn before you had sex. And if you're 30 or younger, you probably watched a lot more sex than you had at the beginning. These stats blow me away. The global porn industry generates over 100 billion per year. That's more than the NBA, NFL, and MLB combined. Porn sites receive over 50 million viewers per day, and they're predominantly men. And most porn has violence in it, unhealthy relational dynamics. It just confuses us in thinking what it's supposed to be like in the bedroom. And what a lot of 20 and 30-year-olds are facing today is their dopamine being hijacked, erectile dysfunction. The numbers of young men on ED medication is rising and rising. And ultimately, it leads to a sympathetic nervous system that is just amped all the time. Think of fight or flight in survival, thinking like you're in danger. Now, what are the consequences? How does it show up in our life? Well, we're not going to be satisfied in the bedroom. We're not going to be fulfilled. We're going to feel more of a drain than an energizing there. We're going to feel more of a suck. We're going to feel more of a down, lack of energy than an upward, full of energy. And a lot of it leads to loneliness. It leads to isolation. This is what I hear from men a lot in this training and working with them is, man, I felt like I was alone on this path. And as I mentioned earlier with ED, more and more young men on pharmaceuticals and starting to believe that they need to be on pharmaceuticals for the rest of their lives. This also leads to divorce and unhealthy relationships. More and more people getting divorced, more and more people becoming single, and people on dating apps endlessly or feeling frustrated within their relationships. What is the potential that exists for us? What could our relationship to sexuality really be like? The beautiful thing is we don't have to make this up. There's cultures that have existed for thousands of years that have woven into their culture, into their people, a healthy relationship with sexuality, an education around sexuality, and the ability to openly discuss. Whether we look at Taoism, whether we look at Egypt, we look at India and Tantra, there are some examples that we are able to pull from in our ways that we relate to sexuality in a healthy way so that we can feel revitalized, we can feel nourished, we can feel full from our relationship to sexuality and have more energy to give into the other areas of our lives. I believe that better sex creates better men with better lives. Because, like those numbers state, 50 million men watching porn every day, that is most likely an energy leak. They're orgasming, they're ejaculating, and they're coming down, but they're not getting a revitalization. They're not having that human to human bond, and there's some things going on that is not benefiting them. Better sex is going to fill you up more, which is going to give you more energy, more focus to create in your community, to create in your family, to create at large and for the world. And this is why I created the sexual reset training. I want you to have a reset. I want you to be in a position that leaves your partners begging for more because I know how that impacts your life as a man. I know that how that's going to ripple into your life and into the other areas. I've taken 10 years of talking and working with men in their relationship to sexuality to create this training and to give it to you so that you can make that transformation as fast as possible. Now, this is real transformation. I'm not here to just give you some tricks that are going to help you feel better next week. I want to create lasting change that impacts the rest of your life. I want you to break free of anxiety. I want you to say no to performance anxiety. And really, I want you to know your worth so that you're not in the bedroom trying to prove your worth every time. Oh, if they're happy, if they orgasm, if they're satisfied, I get to feel good enough for a moment. I get to feel loved. No, you're just anchored in knowing your worth, your power, your potential, and you just emanated in there. And ultimately, I want you to be confident and bold. One of my favorite sayings is, your dick is not the only thing that gets erect, so does your spine. I want you to stand taller. I want your shoulders back. I want you to be proud of yourself. And I want you to be satisfied in the bedroom and with your sex life. And I want you to be fulfilled once again so you have more of that energy to go and create. So, what's inside of the sexual reset training? First, we're going to focus on excavating and rebuilding. We got to get clear on what your relationship to sexuality is right now. And we do this in a few different ways. And that way you can start to say, I don't like these pieces. I want to change these. Or I really like these. I want to keep these pieces and continue forward. Or, wow, I didn't know anything about that. I want to integrate that. You get to construct consciously what you want your relationship to sexuality to be. You are going to have me as a personal coach on the whole journey. Whether it's me coaching you through the prompts, the lessons, or the practices, you can be asking me while you're in the space, you can be asking me things about your personal life. Whether you're single, whether you're relationship, married, you can ask me directly to support you on that journey. And this is the education you've needed. I even made a small video series that are the things you should have known before 18. That's just going to be a little bonus in here as well. But this is the education you've needed, and I have built this from working with hundreds of men all over the world. One of the most potent things is you're going to have group discussions with other men on the journey with you. This is how we normalize the conversation, and this is how we make it more relaxing and not so stressful. And most of all, the main thing that the sexual reset is a clear roadmap. Every day of these 28 days is mapped out with questions, with practices, with educational videos to take you step by step. And why this is different, I'm not just giving you performance hacks. I'm not teaching you how to move your tongue better, your fingers better, your dick better, just so that you go back into the bedroom and try to prove your worth by performing. I'm giving you the under that because so that this changes the entire path of your relationship to sexuality. You're going to have tangible results from day one. What I hit you with day one can stay with you for the rest of your life. And this is going to be a focus on lasting change. I want to invest all my intention into how can I impact your life and create the most change. That's what I want to put my life force energy into. And know that this integrates easily. No matter how busy you are, no matter what your schedule is, know that this integrates easily. I've designed it that way that it can work for you and be flexible. And once again, I'm bringing 10 years of working with men specifically when it comes to sexuality. Now, I work with men, and men have done this training from their 20s to their 80s. And I want to share with you just a little bit of feedback that's come from the training so far. So let's look at Jason. I'm being way more thoughtful about when and how I use my sexual energy. It's being harnessed as a power instead of as a nuisance that I had to deal with. And we've also got Alex. I'm more focused on the moment when with a partner, the feelings and pleasure that are present, rather than focusing on how well am I doing or how much is she enjoying this. And one more, we've got Frank. Even the deepest, darkest secrets I may have around sexuality, other men go through as well. The things I felt ashamed about, I discovered are pretty much universal. This dissolves the shame and makes something that was once a big deal insignificant. Now, one of the most important things about this training is that there's zero risk to join. If you're not satisfied, doesn't work for you, if it doesn't blow you away, I'll give your money back. There is zero risk to join this, and I made it that way because I believe in it and know how important it is. What I want you to walk away with, what you will walk away with, is a new way that you look at yourself in the mirror. I love this pawn looking in the mirror and seeing a royalty piece instead of just a little pawn. I want you to see yourself as a king. I want you to be confident, bold, once again, to have that erect spine. I want you to have healthier relationships. I want you to bring that leadership into the bedroom. All that you're learning, all that you're dismantling and rebuilding, I want you to lead your partner or your partners. And ultimately, I want you to have more energy. I want you to be bubbling with excitement. I want you to be bubbling with creativity. I want you to feel more and be more. There's a fun saying, which is more pleasure, less pressure. To experience more pleasure, it takes getting out of our mind. It takes dismantling the anxiety because there's so much sensation and pleasure waiting for us when we get out of the bad patterns and habits that have been built from an inadequate education. Less pressure, relaxation, enjoyable, adventurous, exploring. What we don't talk about has power over us. That's why we need to get into this subject and talk about it very specifically, very focused. And most of all, you're going to be able to last longer in bed and have more pleasure in bed. It's a both and. You'll be able to be more in control and you'll feel more pleasure throughout your body. I believe that satisfying sex makes more space for purpose. So I want you to feel like Superman in the bedroom because I know when you feel like Superman in the bedroom, you're going to have more space, more capacity to be out in the world as a creator, as a powerful man in your family, in your community, and in the cities. So let's get into the sexual reset training, the value and how you'll join today. This 28-day program, once again, I've designed every prompt, every educational video, every practice that you're doing, and I put a value of 1,000, but I believe it's much more than that. I believe it's 10,000. I believe it's 50,000, but I, for some reason, have to be realistic here. I believe that because what is 30, 40, 50, 60 years of your life with a completely different relationship to sexuality? I think that's fucking priceless. I don't even think there's a price tag for that. Group coaching and personalized support. To get my coaching, it normally costs $888 to work with me per month, and you're going to have that same access within this community. I'm throwing in a new bonus. I just created this. It's called a sexual breakthrough assessment. As soon as you'll sign up, that's what you're going to get is the assessment, and you'll learn your sexual archetype. And right off the bat, you'll get a clear understanding of what your relationship to sexuality is. Throwing that as a bonus. And bonus number two is once you go through the 28-day sexual reset training, you're going to get an extra month within the men and sex community. You're going to be in a community of almost 100 men that have already gone through this training, and you will have access to ask me questions, and I'll be even in there sharing my personal journey. That's just a bonus. This is almost $3,000 of value. And remember, there's no risk here. If you're not satisfied, you will get your money back. That's my satisfaction guarantee. This training, you get all of it for 4 installments of $88. $88. And you only have to pay the $88 to get started. And if you're not satisfied, I will give you your money back. There is zero risk involved in this. I want you to take this step into changing your life. Ultimately, I want you to be that superhero in the bedroom. I want people to be begging you for more because, once again, I know what that does for you as a man in all the other areas of your life. I know how it's going to impact the way that you show up for your family, for yourself, for your community. Are you ready to be the type of man that leaves people in the bedroom begging for more? Are you ready to radically transform your relationship to sexuality and receive the education that you deserved before you were 18 years old? Are you ready to have someone on your side as a coach, as a mentor, to share over 10 years working with hundreds of men from all over the world to support you in relationship with sexuality? That's what the offer is here. Click the button below. There is no risk. There is zero risk. If you've made it this far, this is for you. Click the button, get signed up. I will send you the breakthrough assessment right away, and this journey will begin. I look forward to seeing you in the training and providing as much value as I can.